Good afternoon. You are watching City News 24/7. I'm Melanie Ng.
And I'm Faiza Amin. We begin west of the city today, where in Mississauga, heading to the polls to pick their next mayor.
Now, civic election seasons in Mississauga, historically, it's been predictable. But this time around, the city's top job remains up in the air.
And of course, we have Mark McAllister joining us. And now you've been tracking the race here for us. But there seems to be a lot of undecided voters out there.
I think that's the one thing, the takeaway from the polls at this point has been, Parrish has been in the lead, Carolyn Parrish for the most part, but her lead has dipped as we get closer and closer to this day. The big part of that is the undecided voters. So that's going to be the sway. We don't know who's going to end up winning this as a result of a double-digit undecided voter count. And so we're going to end up with an interesting night, again, to your point, for the first time in a very long time, when we knew Hazel McCallion or Bonnie Crombie was going to win the elections to this point.
Okay, what's going to be really interesting, we've been watching the polls as of late, and they always say, you know, the only poll that matters is the one the day of Election Day. But the numbers have been really interesting, to your point, with them being neck and neck. So strategies have changed. As we know, Carolyn Parrish dropped out of debates midway through the campaign, including the one that you were moderating as well. Yep. So how does that change everyone's approach, or how did it change everyone's approach?
The other candidates stepped up and said, okay, I need to be the one to stand out and make sure that people notice what I'm about, make sure I don't blend in with all of the other candidates. So there have been some slight differences we've seen come forward. Some have said, you know what, housing is that top priority, but I'm going to approach it a little bit differently. Three of those main candidates actually made their way out to the polls to greet people this morning. Here's what they had to say.
First priority is housing, and we've got to get at it right away. I just read an article this morning that puts us way behind the 8 ball without enough housing for people, and we're losing the 18 to 25-year-olds. They're leaving town, so we've got to hang on to them. So housing is absolutely essential.
I put forward a vision of saying, I'm going to keep your property taxes low, I'm going to be tough on crime, and yes, we're going to build more homes, but I'm going to manage this growth. So if you want someone who has experience and who has a sensible platform, vote for Deepika.
I've got 3 young kids who are really excited, and I want to make sure we're building enough housing for them in the future. We've got families who are struggling, who've been asking for relief on their taxes, and we're the only ones that are offering that. So I think we've got a message that's resonating with people.
Okay, so this is going to be an interesting day. You're going to take a little nap because you're back here on the desk a little bit later on this evening.
The polls close at 8 o'clock. We'll be here with all the results.
Okay, so watch City News 24/7. Mark McAllister coming in starting at 8 o'clock. We'll get everything for you. We will find out who Mississauga's next mayor is. Appreciate it. Thank you, Mark. Thanks.
No problem.